Ready.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bullhucker podcast. I'm Larry Moose Lundstrom.
And I'm Adam Vokey.
What's up, Vokey?
Not a whole lot.
Where are we at, dude?
The bowels of the Emporium.
We were just talking about that.
We were.
Bowels as in basement.
Yes.
Because our guest today was kind of searching around for where the hell the studio was, the hidden studio. And
checking all the corners. Didn't check the bottom.
Didn't check the bottom. We do have a guest today.
We do.
Allison Walker, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
You've been a very busy beaver.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
You just got a lot of shit going on.
Constantly.
And you're a mom.
And a mom.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
The kids are busy?
Very.
Yeah.
Basketball's about to start. Peyton, she's starting that Nico League. And
what's Nico?
Oh, I think it's like Northeastern Colorado League.
Oh, okay.
You know, sponsors and the whole thing. It's not ran through. This part isn't ran through the city, so it's competitive.
Is it like a club league?
Yeah, it's kind of like a club, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. What age is she?
She's 11.
11 years old?
Yeah.
Does it get competitive?
Kinda, yeah.
Really?
Those games are pretty funny. You know what? You come to a Brush Fort Morgan game at 11-year-old girls, it's kind of wild.
Right.
It's kind of shocking.
Right.
Because you'd think you'd see that at like the high school games.
Right.
No, it's 11-year-old girls basketball.
And 11-year-old girls are hateful by nature anyway, right?
Oh, it's right before like puberty
Yeah,
and everything.
right,
I mean,
right.
the emotions are high and
just hating on each other.
you don't know if they're going to cry or like throw a fist. It's crazy. Like, it really is.
Or one comes after the other.
Or both,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How old are your girls? Your girls are...
My girls are 15 and 18.
Which one's more competitive? Brindley.
Probably Brindley, yeah.
Yeah.
She does the sports and all that stuff, so.
Nice.
Harlan's
nice.
a drama nerd.
Before we go any further ado, I want to say, welcome to the Bullhucker podcast. If you're new to the podcast, what we do is we bring on a guest. What they're going to do is tell 3 stories about their life. Now, here's the kicker. Only 2 of these stories are true. One's either borrowed, halfway made up, so it's half true, half false, or all the way made up. And we've been kind of getting ballsy lately, Allison, so we're not even going to ask you what it is. All right? We're just going to try and guess. You know what I mean?
Because we were so good at this otherwise.
Right. So we just got
handicap ourselves even more.
Listen, if I suck at this, I want a reason, okay? I'm trying to get myself a fucking out here. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, at the end of the podcast, Adam and I are going to try and guess which one it is. So, Allison, I brought that up because I want to talk about, you have Lance Schwint as one of your story titles.
So
we're not going to tell you yet, but I brought that up because we're talking about kids.
Yeah.
And have you ever watched Lance try to coach like the little ones?
Yeah, and actually last year, some of these games got so heated for this Nico basketball that he actually came in to ref a couple games because I think he felt so bad for his refs and people kind of bitching about him. I think he came in to like try to, I don't know, make nice and, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Just don't be a jerk to the refs.
But I think that's a new thing nowadays, right? Like,
yeah.
People just take shots at the referee. Like, nobody wants to ref anymore. Why would you want to?
I have no idea. And then, it's really hard because I'm totally, how do I say this? A hypocrite. Because I'll be the one, it's like Darla Rosenbrock out there. It's like I know her mom was my gym teacher. And I'm like, come on, Darla. I'm like the one yelling at the ref.
She's the referee.
Yeah, I'm the one yelling at the ref. And I'm like, oh, I need to really stop.
I know where you live, Darla. I'll eat your heart at your chest.
I babysat you. Like,
is that
don't
true?
call that. Yeah, like, don't sit there and call a foul on my kid.
Yeah. But that's not really hypocrite. I'm talking about like people who get straight up
crazy
Karens in the audience that
For sure.
that threaten them and all that other stuff. Because I know the city council, Lance has talked about having a lack of referees, but I was talking about the little guys.
Oh yeah.
When he coaches them, and it's like herding cats, man.
Oh, yeah.
Lance Schwint has the patience of a monk. I'm not joking, man. Oh, my God. I was dropping comedy tickets off to him last year, and it was over at the Sunset Fields, right? Teaching these kids to play football. There's one over by the sideline just picking dandies. You know what I mean? There's one just doing cartwheels, and he's trying to get them all together, and I'm like, I couldn't do it, man. I would shake every one of those fucking kids, man. I'm a horrible person. That's why I'm not a dad. So. Anyway, you ready to tell some stories?
I'm ready to tell some stories.
All right, yep. I'm into this. Adam, you want to read them off?
Yeah, sure. We got Eisenhower, Lance Schwint, and Hell's Angels.
I love it. Do you want to tell these in any particular order, or do you mind if we pick?
You sure can pick. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Vokey, pick it up, my friend.
We'll just start at the top. We'll go with Eisenhower.
All right, so the reason of these, I don't know, because, you're trying to figure out, like, do I go funny? Do I just talk serious. You know, it's really kind of hard to figure out like 3 stories that you want to tell. But Eisenhower. So I only did 1 year of college. Didn't make it, which is why I'm a massage therapist now.
Good for you, man.
I decided college was not for me. But for that 1 year, I went to Mesa State. So driving back and forth, where do you drive through? The Eisenhower Tunnel.
Wait, back and forth from where? From here?
From Brush to Grand Junction.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And granted, that's not daily. We're talking like once a month, you know, when you come home for holidays, the whole thing, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So lived in Grand Junction and, you know, come home for Thanksgiving, come home for Christmas, come home to see the family, whatever.
Sure.
And this isn't like a 2-hour drive, you know, going to Grand Junction, you know, take
8
you like,
hours,
yeah,
right?
you're all day thing.
Yeah.
So you better make sure you're coming home for like good things, right?
Right.
Well, me and my girlfriend Roxy, we went to Mesa State. All our other friends went to CSU.
What's up, Roxy?
Right. And so I think we were going home after, I believe it was Thanksgiving, you know, after the week-long, you know, break, had so much fun with all our friends, came back to Brush, and probably a lot of underage drinking because we were 19. And we're heading back, and we get into the Eisenhower Tunnel, and it is completely stopped. Just cars backed up.
Ooh.
And Eisenhower Tunnel, I believe, is like 2 or 3 miles long.
Right.
It's a pretty long tunnel.
Right.
And the Eisenhower is kind of crazy because sometimes you'll go one side, it's sunny, you'll go on the other side and it's snowing.
Right.
So you're always like prepared for some shit to go down at the Eisenhower Tunnel. If you live in Grand Junction and you know, if you're going back and forth, you just prepare for that. Or if you're a trucker, I guess.
Right.
But so we're in the middle of the tunnel and just stopped. And I mean, we're stopped for a while. You know, after like 30 minutes, you're sitting there like, all right, what's going on? They even have workers coming around telling people to turn their cars off, like after an hour sitting there. This goes on. We're still sitting there 2 hours later, like, God, what's going on? People are outside their cars, like, playing catch, walking around. I mean, it's like, that's how long we were sitting there. It's just people are trying to walk to the end to see what is going on, like, outside the tunnel.
What's the dealio? Yeah.
So basically, it was a truck jackknifed right outside the tunnel to a point where not even one car could drive by, you know? So they're trying to get it out of the way, but we're just sitting ducks.
So on jackknife, you mean like, is it on its side, or is it just, or did
I don't know really how to explain it, but it was like almost...
It was blocking both
Yeah,
lanes.
it was like there was not one car coming through. But
Oof.
I don't know what a jackknife is, like when the truck's facing this way and the trailer's facing this way, but it's like a point.
Jackknife. That's a jackknife.
Okay.
Exactly it.
Yes.
But I mean, it's to the point where it's like nobody's getting through. And they have CDOTs there. I mean, it's a whole thing. But it was snowing on that side.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was like must hit black ice. Something happened right outside the tunnel.
What side is that? Is that the Grand Junction side?
Yeah, going towards Grand Junction.
So it's where it slopes down right after the tunnel. Yeah, okay.
Yep. And what is that? Like the closest is like Vale, maybe on the other side.
It's Silverthorne.
Silverthorne, yeah. So it's like that deep incline. So they always say, you know, make sure you have your trains, or what is it? Your chains on, all that stuff, right? So we're sitting in their car, you know, all these things are happening. You're just asking people, like, what's going on there? Oh, it's a truck. Oh, okay. You know, you're eating your snacks because if you're on a 6-hour, 8-hour car ride, you have plenty of snacks. You're prepared for this to happen because it happens to you almost every time you go. Well, if anybody knows me that's listening to this podcast knows that I have, like, severe tummy issues.
You preach to the choir.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, it got to the point where I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I gotta go right this second. And, you know, Roxy knows the drill. We used to have this code word that literally, if we were somewhere at a house party in high school, anything like that, we used to say pudding. That was like code red for I gotta go take a shit somewhere right now. And it was like, you'd be just talking to somebody and you make eye contact and they're like pudding. You're like, you gotta go. Like, we're getting in our car, we're going to 7-Eleven or the closest car, you know, or any closest house anywhere.
you don't have to explain this to me whatsoever.
Right. Like the code word.
I'm with you.
So I'm like, this is the code pudding. I got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And so we're locking our cars even, like, you know,
Right.
hopefully the traffic doesn't start. We're going on our like half-a-mile hike to the outside because I'm like, well, I'm not going to just throw my drawers down in front of all these people that are just sitting here.
Yeah.
And we get to the outside, snowing, freezing, and there's workers out there. I mean, there's tons of people out there. And go up, and I'm just like, do you guys have a bathroom? Oh my God, do you have a bathroom? And they're like, yeah, for our employees. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, oh my God. You know, like you got the sweats and everything going on. And, you know, as we're like asking the guy, like, you know, where's your closest bathroom? It just happens. I mean, yeah. And to the point, just throw my pants down in front of this guy because it's happening. And I'm just like, I am so sorry. And Roxy's over here, like, taking her sock off. Like, here you go, Al. Like, she just knows what's going on. And I'm just like, I pray to God I never see you ever again in my life. So
there's a podcast somewhere in this world where that dude is telling a story about the blonde who came out of the tunnel.
100%.
And she shit right in front of me. She just went there.
She almost shit on my boot.
100%. Like right on the outside of the Eisenhower tunnel, like the flurries are going around. Yeah. And I was just sitting there like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You know, what do? It's like, well, I guess it was better than my car. Yeah, you know?
Damn right it was. You know?
It was one of those situations that it was like, I'm so sorry.
That's awesome. What did the guy even say? Did he remark at all?
No, honest to God, sat there. We made the awkward eye contact as I was like, I'm so sorry. Turned and just walked away. And I was like, thank God. Like he just bolted it. But it was like, if somebody's stuck in a tunnel for hours,
right,
and you're sitting there like, can I please use your bathroom?
Right.
The polite thing to say is yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's the thing is, this isn't the only time I've seen this. I've been stuck like in that tunnel before, and I seen a girl do the same thing, but she had to pee and just jumped out, peed, and like jumps back in her car, and you're just like, well, what do you do for that amount of time?
Yeah, exactly.
Not a lot of people can hold it for like 4 hours.
Right. No, and the sad part is they catch you doing it.
Yeah.
Now you're a sexual predator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it was one of those where I was like, guy just walks away. I mean, my buddy Roxy literally brings it up all the time. Like she'll just, even when I messaged her, I was like, I'm going on a podcast, I have to tell a story. She literally, all she just typed was Eisenhower. And I was like, oh. Like, and I'm thinking, oh my God, do I tell everybody about this? But now I'm like, 20 years ago, who cares?
You know what, Allison, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't let you live it down ever.
Right?
If I was your friend, if one of my friends did that, I'd be like, I'm notorious for that. Like, there's a quick story. I had a roommate, I'll say his name. We'll call him Frank. Everybody's Frank on this podcast, right? And he's come to the club. He used to work at the club I worked at. And when he quit, he'd come down to the club and get hammered, and he'd just come home with me. I'd just drive him home after. Well, we get in this like weird fight, right? Let me take a step back. The cable bill is in my name.
Okay.
So every month I'd have to be like, hey, Frank, did you order $47 worth of pornography this month? Because they're charging us for $47 worth of pornography, right? Frank had a little issue, you know. And I had a VCR, and I'm like, just start taping them. Let's make a library if that's what's going to happen, you know. Anyway, so we get in this fight. He goes home. I walk in my front door, right? And I hear the music, right? This is old school 80s, 90s porn. So, right? And I walk in, and he's passed out in the middle of it, right? He passed out. And so I cover him with a blanket, and I'm like, oh, my God. Because if the shotgun goes off, I'm going to punch him. I don't care how passed out he is. I'm going to hit him until I feel better, right? The reason I tell you the story is I told the guys that worked that. So every time at a party, they're like, Larry, tell us about the time you walked in on Frank Aiken. And I'm like, so we get in this fight at the club, right? And so that's why I tell that story. If I was your friend, that story would come up every time at a party. Every time.
It comes up a lot.
Good for you, Roxy.
And bless her, she honestly, same just like the guy. She turns around, she's just laughing and like turns and just takes her socks off. And I'm just like, and obviously, like we've been best buds forever. Right, so it was like this wasn't the first pudding incident.
Right.
And it's like, I had her down to just like, if I'm having an emergency, we're losing socks. Like, what else do you do?
You don't, man.
Yeah.
You're going to orphan them socks. That's what you're going to do.
That's right.
Did we have a poop story last podcast with Danielle?
We didn't.
That might have been the break.
Because we were on a hell of a run there for a while.
Yeah,
I heard them, and I thought, oh, I'm not even embarrassed anymore to tell my poop story.
No. Oh,
and honestly, you guys should just be happy it wasn't 3 poop stories, because that's how many I have.
And
they're all embarrassing.
Allison.
And I just sit there. I've even had people make me shirts that's like, I'm a 10, but I have tummy problems. I'm like, yeah, like poopsie over here.
And listen, Allison, I'll go toe-to-toe with you on poop stories. Okay? All day long, sister.
Right.
My diet's not awesome.
I could probably throw my hat in that ring as well.
Right.
So,
but from this podcast, like you just said, I realized when it first happens, I had a Budweiser story I've told numerous times on here, but, you know, I tell that story, but then as I tell it, people are like, oh, this happened to me. And it's so common. It happens to everybody.
Everybody.
I mean, irritable bowel syndrome, is that kind of what you're...
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, now I'm like, do I have Crohn's? Like, it's like a little bit more than the IBS, but it's like I've done like the testing for it too. So honestly, I eat pretty gluten free because any type of gluten, it's coming out one way or the other. Like, it's terrible.
If we go out and eat, and I take my mom, she's like, we have to wait for half an hour because Larry's going to have to go. And she's right. I hate it for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yes, that's true, Mother. So, and she's like, he's got a very healthy colon. She cheers me on for it. You know what I mean? Like I'm being potty trained for the first time. Like, good job, bud. Good job. So I get it, bro.
Yep.
What do you think about that one, Adam?
That's great. And I also think, I'm going to say right now that is not the Bullhucker, because the way she was describing had the sweats and been there. I know. That's experience. That's what that is. So
I tell you what, I almost think... I question it because I think that she's luring us in because she knows we're poop guys. She knows that's an easy money with us. So I love it. So, although a great story. And, dude, I like it because people at home that are watching this are totally relating to you. Promise you. Where's Roxy at? Is she around here anymore? Or
she lives in Denver.
Does she?
Yep.
Okay.
But I just seen her. She came down for Oktoberfest last weekend. So
nice.
Just seen her.
That's cool.
Still talk to her daily.
She's from here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I graduated with her.
Nice. Nice. And a good friend.
Yep.
But that's what friends are for, right? Childhood friends. Okay, we have two more stories. Lance Schwint and Hell's Angels. Well, I know which one I want to listen to last because I know him. So let's listen to the other one. Let's listen to Hell's Angels.
Well, okay.
Do you want to tell
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. So the Hell's Angels story, well, you were asking me about Sturgis, how Sturgis was. And, Sturgis is always a great time. We stayed at a very wild campsite. I wouldn't tell those stories on here just because I wouldn't want my mother to hear them.
Okay.
But, I have a fiance, Nick. And
what's up, Nick?
This is the first year we went to Sturgis. So this was 3 years ago that we went. And my parents have always gone. I went, but never on a bike. Back when I was younger, when I was 21, I went just to experience it. But I was driving up there. This was the first time, it was more of a camping trip, more of a staying at a campsite, that whole thing, going with people who actually have a motorcycle.
Right.
And we went with a huge group of people. It was fun. We stayed at a house for a couple days. And then me, Nick, and our buddy AJ went out on our own and stayed for a couple more days and camped. So it was us three, Nick, me, and AJ. And if you've never been to Sturgis, they kind of have a strip, and they have a couple little side roads that you park on. And it's a lot of bars, a lot of shopping, that kind of thing. We kind of stayed far away this trip, and our campsite was kind of far. So it was like a 35-minute drive. So this wasn't something where we could get drunk and walk to our campsite, which is, one of those things. But we decided to actually go out this day and kind of stay later, see what Sturgis is about at night, that kind of thing. And so it's, I'd say midnight, and we were like, okay, it's time to go. We've had a couple drinks, but it's either we find somewhere to stay here or we need to get our asses back to our campsite.
Right.
So we walk to our bikes, and it's a really eerie feeling when this place is a packed place normally, and you walk into the street and there's nobody there. And we're just like, okay, this is odd, because we've been here the last couple of days. This is not what's normal. And it was a side street, but normally what they do is they park their bikes on the sides and then in the middle. Mm-hmm. The two bikes, AJ and Nick's bike, were just in the middle. That was it. And then there was cops galore. And 8 Hell's Angels sitting on the side of the road. And we're sitting there, we're like, okay, well, this is bad. So we're like, fuck, we got to find somewhere to stay. And Nick instantly is like, nope. When they're busy, this is when you get out. They're not looking at us. Right. We got to get our bikes and get the hell out of here.
Right.
And we walk up instantly. We're met by cops that are like, what are you doing here? Get the hell out of here. And, Nick's like, hey, those are our bikes. Just let us grab them. He's like, yeah, walk them out of here. Don't even start them. Walk them out. And we're just like, oh, okay. This is pretty crazy.
Really?
But as we're walking up there, there's 8 or 9 Hell's Angels. They're all handcuffed too. And, and we're just like, okay, this is pretty sketchy. You know, it's like something's going on.
Right.
So we get out of there. We maybe walk it like 10 feet. We jump on. We get the hell out of there. Maybe 5 minutes later, we're still in Sturgis, just trying to get to the highway, basically. And we just hear sirens going crazy. I mean, cops, insane. You know something's happening somewhere when you hear all that, you know?
Right.
And later, we found out there was a big old shootout at the Hells Angels. And it was like, the cops were there, they were there, and some indictment happened, and it was the Hells Angels. Well, we were like right there and like missed it by like 5 minutes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that was our first Sturgis trip where I was like, I don't know if I want to go back.
And you went back.
And I went back 2 more times.
That's insane.
Yeah. And it was a very eerie feeling when you walk in and you're just like, no, there's no other bikes here. Like, other people got the memo to get the hell out of there. But, you know, we were just shopping, we were, you know, bar hopping, doing this whole thing. And we just walk up there and just like, oh, shit, we just walked into something real bad.
My Uncle Ed, he was part of a motorcycle club, but they were a Christian motorcycle. And he said that they were very, like the Hells Angels and all those big biker groups were very cool to them. He said, but they didn't leave their campsite after dark. You know, they kind of stayed to their own, you know. But I'm very ignorant about Sturgis. So is there a lot of like the motorcycle clubs, like the Mongols and all? Is it?
So no, actually, okay. I just kind of learned this year. I didn't know it that year I went, but that first year, obviously, I didn't know that. I thought it was going to be all motorcycle clubs or whatever. But I've just recently kind of heard that Sturgis is more ran by the Hells Angels. You won't really see like Mongols there or other motorcycle clubs. Like You'll see some, but not a lot. It's a lot of Hells Angels up there. And you'll just see them walking around. They got their cuts on and like, you know, it says on them like Hells and stuff like that. And a lot of times they don't even let them in bars because they don't want colors and, you know, the gang related stuff. So you won't even know really they're Hells Angels, but they'll have an 81 on them. And that's like their number. So you'll know instantly they're like a Hells Angels.
What's the 81 for, do you know?
I have no idea.
If you know, put it in the comments below. I'm super curious. So that's great. Have you ever came across anything like that, Adam? No.
I drove through Sturgis. Well, I go through Sturgis quite a bit going up to see my girls in North Dakota. Mm-hmm. But I was taking them home one summer, and I was driving through Sturgis during rally, and it was insane.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was like, this is good enough for me. I didn't even stop. I just was driving through, and I can only imagine what goes on there because there were so many people.
Oh, there's so many bikes. I mean, it's insane. And actually, one of the years we went was the 81st year, so there was way more Hells Angels that year because that was like their number. Yeah. And that's really when we kind of figured some things out, you know, like, okay, like, I guess I'm just like the blonde girl from Brush that's like, I'll just be on the back, like enjoying myself, you know? And, you know, it's like, oh, there's some of this stuff is very serious. And I'm just not a serious person, but it's like I walked into a pretty serious situation. It was like, I'm a mom. I gotta go. Right.
I don't want to orphan the kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane. Mm-hmm. I guess I always, out of my own ignorance of the place, I kind of thought that it became like, I don't want to say, very commercialized. Yeah, that's what I've heard. That, you know, there's just, the bars are super expensive now, and they're just.
It is. And you'll see a lot of people say like they don't go anymore. And really I don't know how to explain it. Like Sturgis is kind of like that. You know, you go and pay for your $8 beer. But then I'm like, well, am I kind of paying like that at Cables? I don't know. Yeah. So to me, I'm like, well, it's kind of the same. But the campsites are still very old Sturgis, I guess, if that makes sense. So once you go into a campsite, it's like a whole private thing. You know, it's like you still see very much of that old, like people are burning tires and, having a great time. And, you know, that's a little bit different. So like camping experience wise, I feel like it's very old Sturgis. But if you're going downtown, oh yeah, there's shirt vendors on every corner.
Sure.
And, yeah,
that makes sense. Mm-hmm. You ever been to like Mardi Gras?
I've been to New Orleans, but not during Mardi Gras.
See, I went to Mardi Gras, and kind of the same thing. Like when I got there, I went to the Dussault clan. When you get there, and I told them from Colorado, very smart question. They go, mountains or plains? And I'm like, kudos to you for asking that question because everybody thinks it's all mountains in Colorado. But they told me, okay, here's the deal. You stay on this street. You stay on Bourbon Street. You don't go down alleys. You go to this. They gave me directions where you do not go. Mm-hmm. Do not go there at night. Do not be by yourself. If somebody bumps into you, they're trying to rob you.
Yep.
You know, and I just was like taken back. I was like, oh, okay. Because I thought to myself, nighttime Larry's not going to remember any of that shit. You know, that's
right.
But it's also very commercialized also in New Orleans, as you saw, you know.
We actually just went there in June, and we had like the same experience where people are like, no. Like, you don't put your wallet in your back pocket,
right.
you know, and you don't do this, you don't do that. And me and Nick are like, yeah, okay. And then one night down on Bourbon, it was like, no, like, this is very much correct. Like, I don't know, you stick together.
Yeah.
It's like a rough neighborhood, but
Yes.
it's like, it's Bourbon Street.
It was a blast. I had so much fun. I would recommend, if you don't go at least once, you know.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And the food, I've told everyone, I'm like, oh, New Orleans is like shithole, but the food was so bomb. Like, I'd go back just for the food. Like,
What did you have?
Oh, everywhere I went, I just had gumbo. Everywhere I went.
Oh, really?
Jambalaya, gumbo.
I had Gator. You had Gator?
Oh, yeah, I had Gator too, yeah, for sure.
Whenever I go travel somewhere, I ask them, I'm from Colorado, what can I not have? What can I have here that we don't have in Colorado? And that's,
for sure.
Yeah, they try the Gator. A little salty, but it was good. So
I was driving through Louisiana for work, stopped at some convenience store to grab something to eat. I go and look in like the little hot case that have like hot dogs and hamburgers and cheeseburgers and all that. Then there was like Gator brats, boudin, just all this. I was like, all right, I'll try that.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I ordered a Bloody Mary, and like a crawdad came out in it, and I was like, all right. This is, this is what we're doing today.
Protein.
Yep.
Did you get the king cake?
No,
Are you familiar?
I didn't. And only because sometimes I don't try things if I know there's flour in it. Going back to the poopsies story. Like, is this going to make me puke or poop? Like, so if I'm not 100% sure what it's in it, I usually don't eat it.
I got one. So are you familiar with what king cake is? Are you familiar with the whole thing is?
Yeah.
So it's got a little toy in it or whatever. Like a little,
the baby.
Yeah, and if you get that slice, that's good luck, right? So I just ate the whole thing because I'm greedy, right? And that's, but yeah. But it was like a little one, but yeah. I didn't know what it was. And then Crystal, Tim's wife, wanted to go down to where Katrina hit because we were there 2 or 3 years after that. And they were like, you don't want to drive your nice new car. They'll kill you, so pretty crazy. But I think one of these days I'll make it to Sturgis. Just why not, right?
You got it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you enjoy camping, go camp up there. Go see some shit. It's wild. It's fun. Here's
the irony in that whole thing. You know why I don't like camping? Because I like toilets. That's why I don't like camping.
Well, some people take campers. So
okay. I dated
we take campers.
Yeah. I dated a girl, and she always wanted to go camping. I told her, she's like, I have a camper, Larry. I'm like, as long as there's a toilet. Because I was in the Boy Scouts, and shitting in the woods, I'm not down. I don't like it. It's not an enjoyable experience, I don't know the leaves around me well enough to know which ones you do business one and which ones you don't. So
right.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Adam?
I liked it. It was a pretty good story.
It's interesting.
That would be weird, though, walking out during rally and then, like, nothing.
Honestly, it was even like the lights were dim. It was like one of those where it's like, what the hell did we just walk into? Right. It's not that late, and it's so busy in Sturgis and it's busy all night. It's not like it stops at a certain time. It's Sturgis. It goes on for a whole week where it's just crazy the whole time. So, like, yeah, just like walking in there, it was like that. When you walk into something, you're like, oh, this doesn't feel good. Like, it's eerie. You're like, something's wrong.
Your spider sense goes off.
Yeah, and you're just like, I gotta get out of here.
Like in New Orleans, I'll bring it back to this, because when you walk around Mardi Gras, you see police officers, law enforcement, all different, from all over the state. I guess that's a thing, is every police department sends help to New Orleans, and then the cop gets to stay for an extra couple of days with his family or whatever. But do they do that in...
Actually, that's what they do in South Dakota for Sturgis. They'll send them from different law enforcement, stuff like that. But, I mean, there's a ton of law enforcement there. There's a ton of police officers. There's multiple on each corner. Like, throughout all day, there's cops everywhere. Like, you can't be dumb in Sturgis until you get to the campsites. Until you're parked, until you're somewhere, like, the cops can't go, I guess. But... there's so much law enforcement up there. It's crazy.
But you got to think, to be an officer of the law down there, how you're stressful, how your patience has to get just tested. Everybody's hammered, probably, right? Everybody's drinking.
Yeah, I'd say like down on Sturgis, not so much, because there is so much law enforcement. They're like, I don't want DUIs. So it's kind of funny. So people are having like one or two, but you don't see too many crazies. But you see the girls that are body painted. You see the really awesome motorcycles that are like in magazines. Are so cool. So I think where the law enforcement wise, they're probably frustrated is just because there's so many people and so many bikes.
Right.
I mean, it's just. even the 2 on each corner is not enough. There's so many people.
How loud is Sturgis?
So loud.
Yeah.
So loud.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And if it's not like, it's not the pipes, it's not the motorcycles, it's like the music. I mean,
really?
It's people showing off those super expensive systems. I mean, it's just like, it's insane. But then every bar has a live band or has DJs going on.
Right.
Or on one side street, you'll see like trick bikes doing wheelies and things. Like, it's just always so much stuff to watch and see. Right. It is, but it's extremely loud.
That's interesting. I was talking about the pipes and the bikes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
Yeah.
Have you ever been on the street when a bunch of bikes come by? I mean, it's, yeah.
Yeah, my fiance has an extremely loud bike and has, like, the loudest system on it. So I'll go on the back, and he's like, hey, I was saying something to you. And I'm like, what? Yeah. Like, I literally can't hear you. And I'm this far from you.
Do you have your own bike?
I don't. I got my license the year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I went up and got my license from Harley Davidson. Nice. And, Thunder Mountain. And it was... 3 days, learned how to ride, and I was like, I'm going to go buy a bike. And there was nothing used. And they said, well, yeah, because it was COVID.
Yeah.
And they were like, everything, people wanted to be out and about.
Right.
So I just haven't bought a bike.
Allison, I'll tell you the truth. I always get that wild hair in my ass to learn how to ride a motorcycle and buy one. I always do. But then there's some horrific accident I hear about that I'm like, nah, it's probably not for the best for me, you know?
Yep.
Because, I mean, how many times do you almost hit someone on a bike? You know what I mean?
Well, and honestly, we've almost been hit. I can't tell you how many times. Even in Sturgis, our second year, I mean, we had a car so close to us. And just, we must have been in their blind spot. That's how close. I mean, Nick kicked him. Like, that's how close it was, where it was like, we're talking. So, I mean, it happens. It's just one of those things where people just get too busy.
You almost had a pudding moment.
Yeah. Oh, that pudding happened. Yeah.
I always think, have you ever thought about doing that, Adam?
I haven't. I've actually looked at getting a trike instead of an actual motorcycle.
Me too.
So, because I always say something with speed and balance to stay upright is not my, not good for me. So,
I'd have one with the 8 hangers. What kind of bike does Nick have?
A Road Glide, but it's not even a Harley because he has it rebuilt with like an S&S motor, super fast race motor. Like that's his baby. On a list of things that he loves, the motorcycle, like. Motorcycle, son, me. I mean, like, it's like, I know where I'm at on that list. Like, that's his first love right there.
How long's he had it for?
Oh, it's a 2016, so he's had it for a couple years. He's real built it, loves it.
And he's driven everywhere on this thing.
Loves it, yep.
Nick, you're more than welcome to come tell me stories on this podcast, by the way, about your motorcycle stories. I'm super interested, though.
Oh, he'd probably love that.
Because the stuff he's got to see on a motorcycle, right? It's nuts, dude.
Oh, yeah. He could probably tell you 3 stories just Sturgis alone. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Well, Nick, there's the invite extended out, my man. So we'll see where we can go from there. All right, what do you think about that one, Vogue?
It was good. I liked it.
I already asked you that, didn't I?
You did.
I'm sorry, my bad. We got the BS about something else. I did. I like those kind of stories because it's something I'm not familiar with. You know what I mean? See, I like to learn on this podcast, and I always have questions about places like Sturgis. Because last time I said Mandy Phillips had told a story about it, but she ate too many edibles and then she couldn't walk. So that was her story at a campsite as she army crawled her ass across the field to get back to her tent and prayed to God she woke up with the feeling in her legs. All right, there was 2 down. Eisenhower and the Hells Angels. One left. Lance Schwint.
So the reason I picked this story is because after you reached out and you were like, hey, do this podcast. And I was like, let me see what this is about. Yeah. I went through, you've had a ton of people do it. Yeah. So I went through just try to pick out names that I had recognized. So Lance literally was the first one that popped out. And I was like, I'm listening to Lance.
Right.
But so I used to work for Lance. Long time. I was a lifeguard for 7 years. I even came back and ran the pool for him.
Oh, yeah.
And worked in the office for him. I think I used to be Verna before Verna.
Okay.
Yeah. And, this is all after my Mesa State stint when I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
Right.
But when I came back from my only year in college I did, which was at Mesa that summer. So it's like, I don't know, you're 19. Sure. It's like you go you're 19 years old, and
Right.
all your friends are still in college. They stayed up at CSU. They're living in Fort Collins.
Right.
It's like I don't have anybody here, or
Right.
you don't want to go hang out and be like the super senior,
Yeah.
But so I did a lot of things for Lance. It'd be go ref here, go take score here, run the pool. I basically was just like Lance's bitch. I hate saying that, but it was like whatever,
Yeah.
And he didn't have the golf course at this time, so
Wow.
this was before. This is a long time ago, obviously.
Right.
But I don't know if too many people will think this is funny. He'll probably not even remember this story, but this is the reason I'm telling it. But he would call me at all certain hours. 4 a.m., aren't you up? And I'd be like, I don't know, where do I need to be? And he'd be like, chalk and fields. Just that man works 24/7. And I've always said, you guys do not understand how much that man does for recreation for the city of Brush. Because you guys think that we could do more. He's already 5 steps ahead of you. It's insane. The man has done so much, and really working for him for that amount of time, you see it. And it's crazy. I don't even know how he does it now with the golf course, adding to all that.
Right.
But, so he would call all certain times of hours. And, it was just like, this is back with like the Motorola flip phone. So I had like the ringtone that was like the siren.
Right.
That was like, it freaking woke you up.
It woke you up, yeah.
Yeah. So he calls one night, it's midnight. He calls and he's like, hey, you need to get over the swimming pool. And this is when I was the swimming pool manager. And you need to go over the swimming pool right now. The cops are there. I'm like, oh, great. And he's like, yeah, I don't have keys. I'm like, all right. So, I'm going over there, which, you live in Brush. You're 2 minutes away from everything.
Right.
So it's not like a big deal, but it was midnight. And so go over there, and there is like 3 cops there. And Lance is there, but they are already in the swimming pool. And I'm like, you called me for keys, and I'm like, what's going on? So I walk up and I'm like, Lance, what the fuck? You woke me up. Like, why am I here? And he goes, well, if you ever want my job, I want you to know this is the type of stuff you got to get out of bed for. I'm like, okay, great. There was like 8, 10-year-old kids swimming in the pool.
Of course.
And they're all in their chonies, and they're, there's clothes thrown all over, and they're trying to hide in the water. And so the cops are standing there, Lance is standing there. And so now I'm just standing there, and I'm just like, I woke up out of bed for this, and Lance is like, yeah, I wanted you to experience this with me, Allison. And I'm like, okay. So we're all just standing there watching these kids try to hide behind the ladder.
Right.
One's trying to hide behind like the small diving board. They're trying to hide in the shadows. One keeps coming up for air and then going back down. And it's like
like they're hiding from a T-Rex. Like if we don't move, he can't see us.
Right. And that's in the officer Leroy Brown.
What's up, Leroy Brown? Who, by the way, is going to be on this podcast. But
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, we can see you.
Yeah.
And it was just so hilarious because, like, the spotlights on him.
Right.
He has, and we were just standing there. And, this took, like, 45 minutes to get these kids out of the pool.
Right.
And, it was just, like, it was to the point where I was like, do I need to jump in? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And it was just so hilarious because it was just like, just some little kids just, they weren't skinny dipping, but they all had underwear on. But it was just like they were young and just having a great time. And I was like, why wouldn't you just let them? Like, really? And he's just like, trespassing. Can't, we can't have that.
And if one of them drowns, that's
right.
Insurance.
Right.
That becomes a problem,
And so here we are, just 1:30 in the morning. And Lance's just like, I just wanted you to experience this with me, Allison. He's like, this is the stuff that I get called for. This is the stuff that if you ever want my job, you're going to have to deal with. And it was hilarious at the time because but when these kids were getting out, they're covering themselves and, I'm a girl and I'm standing there just like, oh my God, you're a child. But it's just like, can we get him some towels and just get the hell out of here? Because it was like 1:30 in the morning. But I don't even know if Lance ever even remembers that.
Yeah.
I see him every once in a while. I never even tell him.
Probably wasn't his first rodeo or his last.
No, and he's probably like, yeah, which time?
Right.
But just the way he would lure me out of bed, like, no, like, I don't have my keys. You got to get here. This is emergency,
Right.
And I'm just like, oh my God, okay, fine, But it was never an emergency.
Was he grooming you to like take his job at one time?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I think he would just say things like that, And I probably would say like probably just didn't feel maybe sometimes appreciated all the shit he really has to do, because he does a lot.
It's stupid how much he
Insane.
does. You know, it's insane. It's because we're doing the comedy shows now, which, by the way, October 14th will be past this. November 11th and New Year's Eve will be the comedy shows for this year. Anywho, he's become you now, by the way. I call him 5 times a day, just to make sure things are going well. But it's amazing to hunt him down, because he's usually coaching somewhere. Or opened the gym somewhere,
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, 7 o'clock at night, man. Do you go home? Legally, they have to let you go home, right? You know that, right? We can't keep you here 24/7. He's like, I'm going here pretty quick. And I'm like, man.
Oh, no. He would go from coaching football to having to go and get kids out of the swimming pool.
Yeah.
To still being at work at 7 a.m. because, we needed sponsors for the Brush Rush, or, some baloney thing.
Right.
That it was just like, give that man a raise. Like, he was everywhere, and now it's like, I always see Verna everywhere, and I'm just like, I'm sure with the golf course, it's just twice as much, but it was just constant.
Verna does a lot. She
a
really
lot.
does. She does do a lot.
God bless her.
And Lance is funny, like at the comedy show, he hates this. I don't give a shit that he hates it. I'll always tell the crowd, I'll lure Lance in. I'll be like, this is Lance Schmidt. Make sure everybody thanks him for doing this. Because of him, we brought comedy back to Brush, No, he's clap, but he's so modest. He hates it, right?
Hates it.
And I don't give a shit. You're going to get thanked, dude. You know what I mean? Because you do a lot for this, But anymore, he's like Batman, dude. Like, the smoke pellet down, that fucker's gone.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I'll walk in, I'll be like, where'd Lance go? They're like, oh, he's... Well, shit.
He is like, he's the king of the Irish exit. Like, you don't know where that man is. There'd be times I'd be working for him, same thing, and I'd look around and I'd be like, well, shit. Like, no idea where he's at. And, and it's like, he was just everywhere. It was just crazy.
Right. Chloe Hirschfeld. That's the second time I've heard that reference. But the first one was Chloe Hirschfeld. Did you do that podcast with Chloe?
Yeah.
She got a little shit-faced at her own wedding, and she said, I had to Irish goodbye at my own wedding. I'd never heard that before until, yeah. My
buddy Roxy I was telling you about, she's the queen of Irish exit. Like, you'd just be like at the bar partying, and you'd be like, where's my best friend? And she's like, I'm at home. And you're just like, what the fuck? You just like bounce. Yep, bye. Like,
you had that look on your face, and I'll be damned if I'm losing another pair of socks today.
Right.
Okay.
She was probably
I was in flip flops. I had to go.
She's like, you're not gonna pull a pudding on me. Like,
that's awesome. What'd you think about that one?
I like that.
Even if that's not true to an extent, we'll see. I like the fact you brought it up, because guys like Lance Schwinn do need more recognition in their life, because he's a good dude. He's so mellow. And he handles stress so well too. Like,
so well.
I'd have snapped if I was Lance Schwinn by now. I'd have choked someone to death. I couldn't do it. I'm telling you, man. I don't know how he does it, man.
Well, and even just like teaching these kids how to ref, showed up for like Peyton's Nico games, and just sit there and teach these kids how to ref, and and it's just like Saturday at 8 a.m. and that there was something going on Friday night with his children,
right.
Where you sit there and think like, you're everywhere. It's wild.
Right. They're going to be building new ball fields over by the other ball fields by the pond over there because of Lance Schwinn. I mean, it wasn't just Lance, but he was the driving force in that, man. I mean, stuff like that. Recreation and Brush is what it is because of Lance Schwinn.
Oh, yeah, and it's top tier. Like, you go to other towns and you talk about things, and you're just like, man, like, Brush Rec it's up there, because they do a lot of stuff.
Right. And you hear about some people getting upset with him because they don't think he's shows up enough, and I'm like, but do you follow him around?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, unless we want to clone him,
Well, and that's the thing is, I am at stuff because my kids, and I see them.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, granted, I worked for him, but that was 20 years ago. I'm 36 now, and that was when I was 19. I mean, this is a long time ago.
Right.
But, I mean, now I'm 36, and I still see him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good man. I like Lance a lot. So, and if he comes to the comedy show, make sure you high-five him, because I'm going to call him out again, although he hates it. Anyway. All right, Mr. You got one in mind, bro?
Kind of, but not really.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like going back to the whole Eisenhower thing might be it, even though I said I knew it wasn't.
All right. Well, Allison, before we go any further, we decide who has to pick first. We rock, paper, scissors, right?
Gotcha.
How do you rock, paper, scissors?
1, 2, 3, shoot.
Damn it. Getting murdered this year, man. Just murdered.
She does it the right way.
Yeah. Well, you're on my pudding list now. Ready?
Yep.
How the fuck are you doing? Every time, dude. I'm gonna go back and watch these because I'm doing something to lead. I guarantee.
No, dude, it's just pure luck.
All right. We got 3 great stories: Eisenhower, Lance Schwint, and Hell's Angels. I think Eisenhower is a true story. I think the pudding thing is, you're very brave for telling me that story. Put it on the pudding list. Hell's Angels, I also believe, is a true story. That's kind of a crazy, it's kind of a crazy thing to happen, but that's also something that is very unique. I'm going to pick Lance Schwint because I think when you're picking stories, it's hard to pick we didn't know, I don't know if it's borrowed or if it's halfway made up or whatever, but that one was very nice. It was very cool. And everything you said was true, but I think the part maybe with the kids or getting you out of bed, or there's something there that isn't true about that. The rest about Lance Schwint, everything he does is absolutely 100% true. But I think that ending might be where it's at. Hell's Angels, I think that might have happened. You told it with a lot of passion. And Eisenhower, well, I'm almost praying that's true. I want very much for that to be a true story. So what do you think?
Well, like I said, I'm kind of like rethinking what I said earlier because, I'm pretty sure the whole Lance Schwint thing is true because I know he deals with all kinds of stuff and he's all over the place doing stuff. Hell's Angels, I'm not sure about that one. I haven't really ever heard about a shooting at Sturgis. I'm sure they happened, but I never really remembered hearing about them. But then the Eisenhower one, I think there's truth to it, but I think there's something like the guy you didn't go right in front of the guy or something like that. So I'm going to go with Eisenhower just because of that. Okay, all right. Before you flip that over, though, I do want to say thank you to the Brush Emporium for giving us this great place to have our podcast. Before we'd have to set this up and break this down every time. The first 100 episodes or whatever. We were homeless.
Yeah, it was crazy. But they've actually been very, very, very cool about letting us have this down here. And they're very, very giving. This is a great place, by the way. If you haven't been here, come check it out. Have you eaten here yet? Have you had the pizza and all that
I got a pizza probably waiting for me to go now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Larry, shut up because I got food for me. But
no, the gluten-free pizza here is pretty, it's pretty bomb.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I've only had gluten-free pizza at one place, and that's the Kersey place.
Yeah.
And my friend Loranda used to have it, and it actually wasn't bad. So, but I didn't know they had that. So they do have gluten-free pizza here.
They do.
That's awesome. Ice cream. They have chicken wings. They have pretzels. They have frozen yogurt, ice cream. I said that with funnel cakes. Right now, Gilbert's not right now doing some kind of I can't remember. It says like a noodle roll or something. I don't know. He's trying something new all the time. You seen that movie Accepted, where they form their own little college? And there's that really stone kid that becomes like the chef. That's Gilbert Lake. You know what I mean?
He's probably up there feeding Peyton right now, making her try it.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be full without you touching the pizza. Come try it. And they have like dessert pizza. They have all kinds of stuff here. Also, if you needed a unique gift, come down to 210 Clayton Street, the Brush Emporium and Pizza Emporium, because they have a whole bunch of vendors up there. They have a lot of cool stuff. Come check it out. And it's all local people, local business, because if you don't support local business, it goes away. So please support these guys. They're awesome, amazing, and I love them very much.
And if you enjoyed this, there's a subscribe button down in the corner. Go ahead and click that because it's a huge click. Small click for you, huge click for us.
Small click you, a huge click for us.
I almost
support the podcast. You almost did, but you pulled through, man. I'm proud of you. Also, whatever you're listening to it, whatever platform you're listening to this on, please leave a rating and review. We really do appreciate it. And tell your friends about the podcast. If you liked Allison's stories, share this on Facebook, Instagram, whatever.
Yeah,
or find Allison on TikTok.
I am on TikTok.
You do have a TikTok.
I do.
Yeah, I've been checking them out. So a lot of stuff with on the back of a bike with a camera. So the Daredevil Allison Walker on TikTok. So what is your handle on TikTok?
I think it's Al Walk.
Yep. No, it's Al Walker.
No, Al Walk.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, did you change it?
No, it's just Al Walk, I think.
Okay.
Maybe, I think Al Walk 2. Maybe there's a 2 at the end. Yeah.
Okay. We'll find it. You know what? I'm going to put a link to your TikTok.
Right on.
Okay. All right. So you're going with what?
I'm going with Eisenhower.
I'm going to go with Lance Schwint. Why don't you flip that over and show us what's up?
But for the record, the story is true. Adam was correct. The only thing that didn't really happen, I didn't drop trowel right in front of the guy. I did make it behind a loader, but my buddy still had to give me your socks. There was still a guy there. Right. It was just the eye contact didn't happen. Yeah. The right in front of him didn't happen. I don't have to register as a sex offender.
Right.
All of it happened. It was terrible, but I did duck behind something, and he did know what was happening.
Well, of course you did, Allison. You just asked to use the restroom, and you're like, "Oh no problem. I'm just gonna go for a quick hike."
Yep, it was awful, but everything else was true.
100% on that. Right. Lance Schwint is a true story.
It's a true story.
That's awesome.
I don't know if he remembers it. I'm sure he has so many stories to tell, but that was a true story when I worked for him. So,
right. That's awesome, man. And I'll tell him he came up in the podcast. Hell's Angels is a true story.
True story.
Really?
Yep.
How close do you think you came to actually being in trouble?
I think we were probably like 5-10 minutes away. Like, truly. And honestly, when the cop was telling us to get the hell out of here, I mean, it was one of those, like, not all cops are like worry warts, but you could tell that guy was like, you need to leave. Something is happening here. And and it was like he told us, he was like, don't even go to the end of the block, go like cut through the bank. Like, he was telling us like that quick to get out of there.
So I guess, I don't understand, like, why would they have you
even get our bikes?
Yeah, well, I mean, no, like, walk them out. Like, why not even start them to get out of there?
Bikes are loud. I don't know if they were worried about maybe that distraction happening or just the loud bikes or, something like that. I don't know. But they were just like...
loud bikes, you can't hear gunshots.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Something maybe, like
but
that.
It was a very serious situation that was going on. I mean, they were all cuffed. I mean, it was like... And there was a lot of cops there, and it was just like something was going down.
You got to worry if you're a cop and you have arrested, 13, you said, around 13 of them?
Oh, I think it was like 8.
Oh,
like 8 or 10.
Yeah, but then that means more are probably going to show up.
Oh, and we're talking hundreds, like maybe thousands. Like, maybe not thousands, but like probably hundreds.
Even hundreds of guys that are in the Hells Angels that probably are not afraid of law enforcement.
Because you see a lot of Hells Angels cuts up there where you're just like, those are the guys you're just like, hello? And you just keep walking.
Good boys, sir.
you make eye contact, but you don't hold it long. Yeah, it's one of those, or it's like...
So who did they get in a shootout with? With the cops?
I don't know.
With another...
And honestly, it was like the next day, AJ was like on his phone and was like, holy shit, like there was like shootout last night. And it said it was just Hell's Angel group. And so we were like, it had to have been that.
Wow.
So I'm assuming cops, maybe it was their buddies coming in to get them out of there. Who knows? And you got to think Sturgis is once a week, but people come from every state, so huge. You'll see, their cuts say Colorado, but some say California, some say Florida, some, they're all over. So it's just like, it really is like hundreds of them.
So I have to ask you a question. So I've also heard that certain biker clubs, motorcycle clubs, own certain states or certain areas, right? Like,
well, and I think that's kind of the whole thing, like with South Dakota and Sturgis, like you don't see too many other, like groups up there. You might see a couple like little homemade groups, like 10, 20 guys that ride together, they have their own little like clan, but like it's a lot of Hells Angels. You don't really see Mongols up there. You don't see even like the Crucibles, like you don't see those types of like, I'm sure they're there. Maybe they just don't wear their cuts. I don't know, but it's definitely a Hells Angels territory.
You mean their patches? That's
right. Like the leather, like their leathers and stuff. Yeah.
So Uncle Ed told me because they were a motorcycle club, but they had to ask permission to the dominant club in the area, which I believe was the Mongols. He said,
and it's probably true
to wear their cuts. Yeah, because if you don't, it'll be a problem if they see it. Right.
It's like disrespect.
Right. But they were Christian clubs. He says they really didn't. They didn't care about them. Per se. But the thing that not kills me, I think is crazy about the Hells Angels is you see them like around Christmas time with toys for the kids. Like they're huge on this kind of stuff.
100%. And that's the thing is like people, it's funny to me because a lot of people see like bikers. And I not last year, but the year before, one of my girlfriends was up there. And I'm like, hey, we're at the Oasis. Come meet us. And she walks up and she's like, ha, 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 ha. And I was just sitting with Nick and his couple buddies.
Right.
But they're wearing their leathers and, they're big dudes, got the beards and everything.
Right.
And she's like, I was kind of nervous to walk up to your table. And I'm like, do we look like we're in a gang? And then I'm like, here I am, I'm blonde. And I'm like, hey. But she even told me, she was like, I was scared to walk up to your table, Allison, like, till I seen you. And I was like, oh. Right. Like, I guess I don't see it that way, maybe because I'm around it. But, the thing about bikers is they're the nicest people. Fundraiser wise, like, all those poker runs, all that money goes for stuff. Like, we just did the St. Jude poker run a couple weeks ago. And, it's like all that money goes to St. Jude. Like, a lot of times you'll see that where people are almost like scared of bikers or, I don't know, maybe think they're trashy or
Well,
you know, like
a stereotype.
Yeah, like a stereotype thing.
And
you know, like my stepdad rode his whole life, like my brother, like my stepbrothers. So I guess I've been around motorcycles a lot.
Right.
Where I guess I just never had that.
Right.
But like you said, it's like this, you know, that stereotypical thing where you're just like, oh, okay, well.
Because you've heard a few horrible stories throughout the years that have given
Right.
that stereotype.
Well,
legs,
I just told
right?
one.
Yeah.
But like you said, like the toys, like toy drives and things like that. I got stuck behind a toy drive in Greeley once, and I mean, I would probably say there was over 500 bikes there.
That's
and
awesome.
that was, I think, at one of the dealerships. And they stopped traffic for all those bikes to go out of there. And, you know, every single bike took a toy. And it's like that whole thing was
That's
like a whole
awesome.
joy.
That
And
is so amazing.
it really is. If you really look into like what bikers do, like it's awesome. Like not that I'm a part of a club, but like we'll go on a cool poker run if we can make it, you know?
Right. I worked with a guy, I used to work with him. He joined the Mongols not too long ago. Well, it's been probably about 10 years now. And I had asked him about Sons of Anarchy, how close that is. And he laughed. He's like, not even remotely, close.
Yeah.
See, that's what I know about bikers. You know what I mean? I don't know anything about it.
You watched it on Netflix.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, this must be how it is, like a documentary. It's like, no, he's like, no, dude, not even close. But
And what I've learned about New Orleans is from NCIS New Orleans.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
same thing.
Crazy.
That's how I learned about a king cake.
Oh, is it what it, yeah. I didn't know what it was. They explained to me. Before we go real quick, you said you're doing massage therapy now.
Well, so I've been a massage therapist and an esthetician for 11 years. So
And a what?
And an esthetician.
I don't know what that is.
So like I do facials, eyelash extensions, spray
Okay.
tans, waxing, stuff like that, and then massage and yep.
Do you have a little shop anywhere? Or?
Yeah, so I still my business name is still Sweet Peach Spa. I've done that for the last 11 years. But I'm inside Brush Hair Company, and that's where I've been the last 4 or 5 years.
That's here on 34.
Yep, it's on 34.
Okay.
It's right next to what is it? El
Hakel.
Yeah, I always say the Jackal, and I'm always told I'm wrong.
The Jackal.
Yeah.
Aria, though.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been there. Business has been great. It's been wonderful as a mom to have that. So.
Right, because you make your own hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
I make everything on Thursday. I gotta leave and go play parents versus kids kickball during my son's PE class, and
nice.
So I'm like, well, I gotta show up and kick your ass. So and then I gotta go back to work.
That's it. What hours are you there usually, or what's the best way to get like a massage? Is it, did you call for an appointment?
Yeah,
or just show up, or?
Call, DM, text. My biggest thing I book online.
Okay.
So yeah, I do sweetpeachspa.com, and business is good.
We'll actually have that. We'll have that link on the below in the description.
Yep,
I am struggling here.
You are.
I have an Instagram page for my business.
Okay.
And, there could be a Facebook page. I don't know. I'm not on Facebook anymore, but I used to have one. It might still be there. I don't really know.
It is, because originally I got a hold of you on Facebook, and then I'm like, she doesn't want to do the podcast, apparently.
No, it's just, I left it and just...
Yeah, it's there's so many more.
Yeah.
I don't understand some of them. I try to get on them, and I don't get them. So the one with the little ghost... Snapchat, yeah. I tried. I don't understand it. It's kicking my ass. So
I think social media is one of those things where it's like I can handle one or two, but I can't have them all. So It's like you pick one or two, and that's your go-to. And everyone, you got Snap? No. Are you on Facebook? No.
Yeah.
What are you on? TikTok.
Yeah.
I'll make some funny TikToks for you.
Yeah. Well, Allison, when you have a podcast, you have to whore yourself out to all of them. It's horrible.
Fair enough.
So. But anyway, so real quick, which one do you prefer them to find you at?
Business-wise,
yes.
in Instagram.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. We'll put that link there on the below. Come check it out. So, anything else? Any questions?
Nope.
No, we're good to go. Allison, I want to thank you so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you.
You were nervous at first.
So nervous.
Would you come back and do this again?
Yeah, I think I would really have to think about some stories, though, because
Sure.
I'm like, ooh, I have some, but I'm like, I don't know if I want people to hear them.
You know what? we're at an hour right now where I'd push you for some, because sometimes it's that fourth story I get out of someone, right?
Yes,
I was like, holy shit, why wasn't that one of the three? But
right.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was a great time.
Yeah, I'm Moose Lundstrom.
And I'm Adam Wilkie.
Hey, until next time. Peace.